Story 1. I was texting back and forth with a guy selling a space heater online. I then started texting with a friend about the weird things we do in the doctor's exam room while waiting for the doctor to come in. I texted, "I always hide my bra and underwear under my clothes when I see my gynecologist." I received a text back, "That's nice, but are you still interested in the space heater?" Story 2. I was selling a motorbike and messaging my partner between finalizing the sale. I accidentally sent him a message saying, "Suck my dick, please." He ended up buying the motorbike and said to me, "Man, I'm not going to suck your dick for this." Story 3. I did not send it, but I received a text from my mom asking if I knew what a dirty Sanchez was. She promptly followed up with, "Oops, that was meant for your dad." As if that made it any better. Story 4. I have a friend who was involved in a criminal organization in his past. He is an old man now, so he is not very good with technology like texting and stuff. He decided to write out this long, heartfelt message meant for a woman. But getting confused with the phone, he accidentally sent it to this gangster-type fellow he knew. I thought that was hilarious. Story 5. It wasn't me that sent the message, but I was talking to someone I knew through Discord when they messaged me an image of the conversation we were having and were mocking the way I was talking. Then they deleted it, but not fast enough, so I saw it. Laughing out loud. Story 6. My wife asked me for something at the same time my friend's wife asked me for something. Sent my wife, "Yeah, I'll help you out." Sent my friend's wife a sexually explicit quid pro quo offer. Story 7. Sent my child's classmate, who was 10 at the time, a message asking if she wanted to come over for some hot tub fun. I had her number due to a school activity and meant to send the message to the contact above her. Story 8. I was watching an episode about a guy who had massive balls. He wore a hoodie as pants so his balls could go in the head part of the hood. I meant to send this to my partner but sent it to my dad instead. Imagine the size of his load. I wanted to die. I wish I did die. My parents are so strict. Story 9. I had just finished taking a test, and I didn't think I did my best. I went to text my mom. Well, that was a mistake. At a time when Facebook would send you text reminders to wish people happy birthday or post on their wall with a text. I ended up posting that on the wall of a guy I went to high school with on his birthday. Story 10. I once emailed my whole division plus a few major donors and the head of the department hospital. I told them I had to skip an important meeting because I had a sore throat as I had gotten sick. I meant sick, not what I mistakenly typed. It was a slip of the finger, and I never lived it down. Story 11. Texted "What's up?" friend to my mom instead of my friend in middle school. Fortunately, she was mildly entertained by it, but I thought I was going to get in trouble for a minute. Laugh out loud. Story 12. I was texting a girl in school. I took an inappropriate picture, and when I was going to click her name to send it, she was the first contact in the list. Someone in my school group texted something at that moment, and the group chat jumped to the top. I accidentally clicked the school group, and the whole community saw my mistake. Story 13. When my wife found out she was pregnant, I snapped a picture of the ultrasound and was going to send it to my sister. Unfortunately, I mistakenly clicked the wrong name. That's the story of how the first person to find out about my wife's pregnancy was my former boss. Not catastrophic, but definitely awkward. Story 14. It wasn't me who sent or received it, but I was the first person my friend told in a state of panic. She accidentally sent a link of adult content to a guy she knew when she meant to send him a link to a car she wanted to buy. She said she just forgot she had copied the link to the adult content and assumed the link was of the car, which she had copied earlier. The funniest part was that the message was sent on Instagram. You could unsend the messages even back when this happened years ago, but she wasn't aware. Sadly, even when I told her she could, it was already too late and he had seen it. She had done that pretending to be hacked thing too, for like 5 whole seconds until it was blatantly obvious she hadn't been hacked. Story 15. Texted, "What are you wearing? Tall, dark, and handsome?" To my social worker. Oopsie, that was meant for my sidekick. Fortunately, my social worker, a short, fat, white lady, thought it was hilarious and replied with the wiggling eyebrows emoji. Story 16. I like to write strongly worded emails to people and not send them. They get ugly, and it's extremely therapeutic. I often edit them over and over until my rage turns level-headed. Do it. I highly recommend it. Except don't put their actual email address in, or don't save them forever. Or, at the very minimum, don't accidentally send your last 20 drafts to unsuspecting supervisors, chief executive officers, colleagues, parents, preachers, and friends. Story 17. My best friend once sent me a very dirty text about what he was going to do to me that night. Except it was intended for his girlfriend, who was also a close friend of mine, and he sent it on the 3-person group thread instead of their private message. Honestly, I gained a whole new level of respect for their relationship and learned a thing or two about how to send raunchy messages. Story 18. Not me, but my grandmother. She accidentally texted my older sister. Grandma was spiraling with a bunch of different people after her husband died unexpectedly. My older sister deleted the message and moved on. No need to shame a grieving woman. Story 19. A video of me and a vibrator on my Snapchat story. Thank goodness for the girl who told me I'm sexy and that she wanted to give me a heads up. I have never deleted a story so fast in my life. Story 20. I had a meme of Jar Jar Binks doing Padme doggy style meant for the boys group chat, and I sent it to my community's health director instead. How, you wonder? I had a conversation going with her about some other matters right next to the boys group chat. Story 21. My buddy and I used to send rap lyrics back and forth. One day I accidentally sent, "Yes, I eat that pussy how do I love that panty pie," to none other than my grandmother. Story 22. Back in high school during the flip phone age, one technology-savvy teacher offered optional text updates for assignment due dates and other class-related tidbits. So I signed up to stay in the loop. He could be a little overzealous and would often send several messages per day at all hours, which could get annoying at times. I was texting a buddy who was also in the same class late one night just chatting, and a barrage of class updates came through. So, I responded back to my friend something along the lines of, "Forget Teacher X and his stupid updates," plugged my phone in, and went to bed. The next day after class, Teacher X asked me to stay back a minute and pulled up the text message on the projector at the front of the room for me to see and asked for an explanation. All I could mumble was something like, "Obviously it wasn't meant for you, I was just talking to a buddy, and I don't actually feel that way." But the damage was done. I never felt so small in my life, and I actually loved Teacher X and his class, but I was talking immaturely to a buddy and got caught in it. Totally ruined the relationship, as you would imagine. I would go as far as saying I was one of his favorite students prior to the incident from the vibes and my love for the subject. We barely spoke for the rest of the year after that in class or at all in passing for the remainder of my high school years. Story 23. I accidentally sent a picture of my breasts to my motherfucking brother. Unfortunately, he opened it before I could warn him. Immediately after, me, "Bro, I'm sorry, bro." Him, "Bro, I will never forget the pain of that day." We never spoke of it again. Story 24. Took a photo of my friend without a top on a boat so she could send it to her husband. I went to text it to her and sent it to her mother instead. I had her mother saved in my phone as friend's mother and forgot I had texted her earlier in the day. Mother is now saved in my phone under her own name. Story 25. This summer, my boss texted me, "Are you coming in today?" as I was late. I then made sure to send a good morning text to my girlfriend real quick. "Good morning, love," was not forgotten by any of my coworkers. Story 26. In college, 22 years old at the time, left a calculator, an expensive one, in a class. I didn't know everyone or their names yet, but we had a class list with all our cell numbers. I received a text from a new friend saying they had it and to send nudes to get it back, jokingly. But I wanted to one-up him, so I sent an unsavory photo. The next day, I went to the guy, expecting some laughing and a calculator exchange. He said he had no idea what I was talking about. Then, this quiet guy from the back of the class came up and handed me my calculator without making any eye contact and then scurried off. Never got his name, but that was the last time I sent a lewd photo for a calculator. Story 27. I accidentally told my suicidal friend, "Go through with it," It was meant for another friend of the same name who was thinking of asking a girl out to prom. Luckily, my friend is fine now, but I've never felt more guilty. Story 28. My partner and I were actively trying to get pregnant, and I had just taken an ovulation test. I decided to text him, saying, "Do you want to make a baby tonight?" I accidentally sent the text to my dad. Worst foreplay ever. Story 29. Not really the worst, but I tried to send "I love you" to my girlfriend at the time and sent it to my mother instead. I noticed the mistake but decided to let it stand. 10 minutes later, I got the reply, "Was this meant for ex-girlfriend? Or did you want something?" Story 30. I was texting my best friend some things about my sister-in-law, who was being foolish at the time, but I sent it to my sister-in-law instead while we were in the same room. Story 31. Not to a person, but I once asked a friend, "What turns you on?" and accidentally sent it to my family group on WhatsApp. This is still not the worst thing that happened. Instead of deleting it for everyone, I deleted it for myself. Story 32. One time, I accidentally sent a message to a coworker, and my phone's autocorrect completely messed it up. Instead of what I meant to say, it sent, "I want to meet you this Wednesday," which made absolutely no sense. Story 33. In high school, a guy I wasn't interested in asked me to a dance. I immediately texted my friend and vented about how weird this guy is and why he would ask me, etc. Obviously, I sent it to him instead. I tried to backtrack and said, "That was so funny. I'm joking," then told him my aunt died and I can't go. I wish this was a fake story. Story 34. He emailed his girlfriend a pornographic photo of a girl getting intimate, along with the caption, "This is what I'm going to do to you the next time I see you." Unfortunately, he accidentally sent the email to a much older, married woman who was a friend of his family. Surprisingly, the older woman took it all in stride. She replied to his email saying, "Ha ha, I think you meant to send this to Amelia," the name of his girlfriend. And yes, he was absolutely mortified. Story 35. When I was in college, my roommates had a friend who would frequently spend time at our dorm. When I first met her, I mostly just found her irritating, so I tried to avoid being there when she was. I came back to my dorm one day in a particularly bad mood, and her bubbly personality seemed even more grating than normal. I quickly excused myself again and texted my brother about how obnoxious this girl was who was always hanging around our apartment. Only I didn't send it to my brother. I sent it to her, and when she received my text, she announced to all 7 of my roommates that I had texted her and proceeded to read the text out loud. Apparently, my roommates had all found it hysterical, and the girl was actually confused and not sure who I was talking about. I was absolutely mortified and felt so awful. I offered as sincere of an apology as I knew how to make, and she was thankfully very gracious about it. I came to feel grateful for that chance to connect with her, as we ended up becoming very close friends that year. She's one of the loveliest people I know, and the subsequent memories we made are some of my most cherished from that part of my life. Story 36. I was about to get together with a girl, and there was a decent chance we were going to hook up. I had not had sex in about a year, so for some reason, I decided to search online for the phrase, "haven't had sex in a year." Except I did not search online. I accidentally texted it to her. Needless to say, my dry spell lasted a while longer. Story 37. I was texting my husband and someone I supervised at the same time. My husband told me he was going to go to bed. I was working a night shift and was going to be home in about 30 minutes. I texted my husband that he better not be asleep because I was going to do a few things to him, blah, blah, blah. The response was, "What?" I texted my coworker. I apologized, explained the mix-up, would call his wife to apologize, etc. He said she was on the couch rolling and asked her husband why he doesn't text her like that. I'm also about 15 years older than he is. I begged him not to tell anyone. Too late. And I started getting funny messages from my entire shift. My husband, he didn't laugh. Story 38. This happened to me, a 31-year-old male, when I was a junior in high school. I was essentially talking to 2 girls. We'll call them Anna and Steph. Anna and I wouldn't talk much at school, only text, but we would meet up after school often and mess around. Steph was more of a serious girl, and I really liked her. So I was constantly texting her. One weekend night, Anna started sending me pictures and requested one, so I took it and sent the picture, only to check my phone 2 minutes later and realize I sent an inappropriate picture to Steph instead of Anna. I slowly died inside. I made a stupid excuse about accidentally sending it. I still think about that to this day. Story 39. I had messaged my wife's best friend earlier, but later in the day, I meant to text my wife, "We should fool around tonight." However, I accidentally sent it to her friend instead. She responded with, "We should probably ask wife first." Story 40. Voicemail said something like, "What's up? The guys and I are having a great night. You're missing out again. Maybe we'll have an after party at your house so you can join in on the fun. If you're still out, have someone give us the keys." Just typical buddy talk when drunk. Nothing serious about the after party. Just joking around because I was sad he missed a night out together since we don't see each other much since becoming parents. Accidentally sent this to the parents group of my son's kindergarten and realized it 1 hour later when another mom told me. Instantly sober. Took it down immediately, but 5 other parents already listened to it. Nobody reacted afterward. Told my wife about it, and she just laughed hard and told me to grow up and not worry since the parents in this group change every year. She's incredible. I was the laugh of the day, which was fair.